Section 7, STEM forms. In this section, we will discuss the 4 STEM forms and how they are essential for building blocks that are needed to express anything in our language. Using the root word method, you would still be able to build up word parts in order to say anything you wanted to express without the use of already conjugated STEM forms. Basically, the 4 STEM forms are roots that have already been partially conjugated for you. They provide you with a root and its corresponding root suffix for each of the 4 stem forms. These stems do not show the pronoun who is performing the action or the tense suffix when the action was being performed. Since these forms are already conjugated, we will work on learning to understand how they are used. The tables below illustrate what each one of the 4 stem forms' linguistic name means and what each stem form allows you to say. The incompletive stem form. This means that the action is not complete. So, for example, doing. You will use this stem to say was doing, is doing, or will be doing, among other things. The completive stem. This stem means did. So the action is complete or over and is done fully. The immediate stem, the action is in command form. So for example, do it, or the action just now happened. So for example, he or she just now did it. That's what this stem form is used for. The infinitive stem, the action is not really happening. The action is an idea or an opinion about the action. For example, it is difficult for him or her to do it. It is also why this stem form is the stem of choice for making abstract nouns or nouns that are an idea. The 4 stem forms and what they express. So the expressions of the incompletive stem are: the action is happening, the action happens, the action was happening, or the action will be happening. And those tenses are present, habitual, incompletive past, and incompletive future. The completive stem expresses that the action happened, which is the past tense. The action is being commanded, which is the future imperative. The action will happen, which is the simple future, and the action was going to happen, which is past but plans changed. So was going to happen. You use the completive stem to say that. The immediate stem expresses that the action is being commanded, which is the present imperative. The action is just now happened. That's the immediate past. The infinitive stem expresses the action is an idea, or the action is serving as a noun, or the action is an opinion about a subject. Infinitives do not have tense suffixes. They do not reflect tense. They are not finite. They are non-finite ideas. The infinitive suffix di is the coming this way prefix used as a suffix to say at any time if it happens to be coming toward the subject. This is a way of illustrating the timelessness of the infinitive action. Pronouns and the 4 stem forms. It is important to know which pronoun you will need to use, set A or set B, when conjugating a verb. This is important because depending on whether the verb root is set A, shared experience, or set B, personal experience, by default, the pronoun pattern will change for different conjugations. Below is a table illustrating what pronoun will be used on each stem form for each default pronoun. One way to know whether a verb root is set A or set B by default is to look at its present tense form. The pronoun that is used for the present tense form of any verb will tell you what the default pronoun is for that verb root. Another way of knowing this is by looking the verb up in the third person form glossary, section 12 of this book. Each verb in this section has its default pronoun class in brackets written beside each verb entry. If the default pronoun in present tense is set A, shared experience, it will take this pattern. The incompletive stem and all its expressions will be set A. The completive stem will be set B. The immediate stem will be set A. And the infinitive stem will be set B. If the default pronoun in present tense is set B, personal experience, the incompletive stem and all its expressions will be set B. The completive stem will be set B. The immediate stem will be set B. And the infinitive stem will be set B. So luckily, if your set A pronoun is set B, then you know everything that you can say with that root will be set B, unless it's a derivation that uses a set A pronoun to make it a general experience idea. So, conjugation table. Illustrated below are the word parts necessary for conjugating the expressions shown in the table above entitled The Four Stem Forms and What They Express for both set A and set B default verb roots. So the action is happening. If the default pronoun is set A, you'll use a set A pronoun on the incompletive stem with a present tense suffix. If the default pronoun is set B, then you'll use a set B pronoun with the incompletive stem and a present tense suffix. So these are the parts that you will connect together in order to express each English idea. So for example, if you wanted to say the action just now happened with the immediate stem and it's a set A pronoun, then you're going to connect a set A pronoun with the immediate stem and the present suffix E if it is a state of being, or A if it is an action. But in order to convert this to the action just now happened, it will require a penultimate tone change if you're going to use this stem to say just now happened. You could also use the completive stem and say something happened in the past, but then use an auxiliary word like kilo or kiloan, like just now, and that's still going to say it just now happened. That could be a simple workaround until you get better familiar with these tone changes. Section 8.0, Conditional Suffixes. Conditional suffixes are suffixes that connect between the root word and the tense suffix. Their purpose is to add additional information that further modifies the way in which the action of the root word is being performed. I have also said that it may be a simpler way to understand the concept of conditional suffixes if you think of them as adverbial suffixes, because they do modify the verb that they connect to. However, they do have their own conjugated forms throughout the stems. So, transforming or changing states of being. This conditional suffix is what I call the transformative. So when you use this, it means you are a certain way or becoming a certain way from a previous state, or just changing your state to a different state. It's used to convey the idea that the subject is transforming into the state of being reflected by the meaning of the root word. And number 2 is affixed to the last syllable of an incorporated noun stem. And 3 causes a 3-tone to spread leftward onto the syllable it is connected with. So here you can see that this 3-2 falling, the second 3 went over to the left onto the previous vowel. That's what I mean by spread leftward. The 3-tone spreads leftward. So the bolded portions here is your transformative suffix that is connected to the root. So when you say asqualoga, you're saying it's getting shorter. He, she, or it's getting shorter. Asqualogoi, it gets shorter. He squalogi, get shorter as a command. Usqualozai, it got shorter. And usqualosti, for it to get shorter. So it's been said multiple times previously that, again, in Cherokee and with most of expressions, you can give the idea of again with an auxiliary standalone word like siwa, or you can use a tone change on the first vowel of the word, or with the prefix e or Or you can do it this way with the conditional suffix. It is used to convey that the action will be repeated again. Number 2 is affixed to the completive stem of the root word. So each one of these stems are le with an H. That tells you it is the completive stem. So then the bold portions are the again conditional suffix. So dalehisihan, she's rising again or recuperating. Dalehisi skoin, rises again or recuperates. Talehisan, rise again or recuperate as a command. Dulehisana I, he or she rose again or recuperated. Julehiso ti, for him or her to rise again or recuperate. Repeatedly conditional suffix. This is different than again. Again means one time, whereas repeatedly means multiple times. It's used to convey the action is repeated many times, and 2 is affixed to the completive stem of the root word. So if you want to find the completive stem of any verb, you could use a reference and look up the past tense form. That will give you the completive stem, but the completive stem is minus any tense and minus the pronoun, if you want to get to the root anyway. Atliloa, he or she is measuring it. So that's like getting a good idea of what the amount of something is. So you generally have to do that over and over. Atlilo skoin, measures it. Hatliloja, measure it as a command. Utlilo ai, measured it. Utlilosti, for him or her to measure it. You will notice that the example expression given above has a tone sequence that is different from the conditional suffix as it is written when it isn't connected to a root. This is an example of tone contraction. This is a process of spreading the 3-3 tone across 2 syllables. This is a choice made by the speaker, and it doesn't affect the meaning of the word. This is not a rule or grammar. It is simply an alternative pronunciation. You can just as easily keep the pronunciation the same as the isolated form of the conditional suffix, and it would be equally as accurate. Below is the same expression, measuring, as it is given above, but now the tones of the suffixes are identical to how the conditional suffix is shown in isolation. What that means is the conditional suffixes have set tone. However, when they connect to a root in a word, when you're conjugating a word, that is when if it does bear 3 tones, that is when these contractions will take place by the speaker. A lot of times this has become lexicalized, but if you know the process, you can do it at will. Below is the pronunciation of the word of the root measuring in its different stem forms if we do not contract the 3 tone. And it does give a different sound, but you'll see what it does. Atliloa, she or he is measuring it. Atlilo skoin, he or she measures it. Hatliloja, measure it. Utliloai, he or she measured it. Utlilosti, for him or her to measure it. Accidental conditional suffix. This is used to convey the action was done by accident. It is affixed to the infinitive stem of the root word minus the di suffix. So if you look up an infinitive and you remove the di, you will be left with either a s root suffix, an h root suffix, or no root suffix at all. And that is what this conditional suffix will be connected to. Kanestohtihan, he or she is speaking accidentally. Kanestohtiskoin, he or she speaks accidentally. Unestohtanai, spoke accidentally. Hinestohtan, speak accidentally as a command. Unestohti, for him or her to speak accidentally. Montgomery Anderson states that accidental does not have a present tense form in Cherokee. However, this form is used on the present tense very regularly by fluent speakers. I'm not sure why. Maybe he just didn't find an example of it, but even in English, we all know that you can say that you're doing something accidentally, or someone else can say, I believe they're doing that accidentally. They didn't mean to. And that's the same thing in Cherokee as well. Finishing conditional suffix. Used to convey the action is being completed, and it is affixed to the completive stem of the root word, as most conditional suffixes are, or adverbial suffixes, however you wish to think of it. Giostanohaska. Giostanohaska. I'm destroying it. Giostanohaskoi. I destroy it. Agiostanohnai. I destroyed it. Wayostanohna. Let him or her destroy it. Uyostanohasti. For him or her to destroy it. Going around conditional suffix. Used to convey the action is happening at different places as one goes about. To is affixed to the completive stem of the root word. Atli ilitoha. He, she, or it is taking time. Atli ilitohoi. Takes time. Watli ilita. Let him or her or it take time. Utli ilitolai. For him or he, she, or it took time. And utli ilidasti. For him or her or it to take time. Going conditional suffix. Used to convey the subject is leaving to perform the action. And to is affixed to the completive stem of the root word. Anohlinega. Hunting. Anohlinegoi. Usually is hunting. Hanohlinuga. Hunt. It is also said that the suffix ana is also an immediate form used for expressions that reflect the idea of going. However, the suffix ana is an immediate stem conditional suffix meaning in the process. It is not a part of the going conditional suffix form. Us unohlinasai. Hunted or had went hunting. Unohlinasti. For him, her, it to go hunting. And esti, this also being the progressive future suffix. Note, remember the rightmost long vowel, the penultimate syllable, is the syllable that receives tone change. In order to use the infinitive form of the going suffix modifier as an obligatory statement, you will have to convert the 1-1 tone to a 4-4 tone. So here's an example of that. Dijatesh qua asti. Kosanale. So the 4-4 tone here is saying have to. You have to go to school this morning. Coming in order to. This is used to convey the subject is coming with the purpose of doing the action. It is affixed to the completive stem of the root word. Katanoyastaniga. He or she is coming to make noise. Katanoyastaniga. Katanoyastanihihoi. Katanoyastanihihoi. He or she comes to make noise. Hatanoyastaniga. Come to make noise. Hatanoyastaniga. Utanoyastanitla'i. He or she came to make noise. Utanoyastanihisti. For him or her to come to make noise. Changing conditional suffix. Used to say the root itself is changing its state of being, or to is affixed directly to the last syllable of the root itself. Danutskwadula'iya. She is changing a bra. Danutskwadula'iya skoi. She changes a bra. Dunutskwadula'iya sai. She changed a bra. Tanutskwadula'iyana. Change a bra. And dunutskwadula'iyasti. for her to change a bra. Now, on the immediate, tanad squatula iyana, you can say iyana or iyana. The rising tone, though, is not the lexical tone used for this conditional suffix, but because the penultimate syllable is where the 1-1 is on ya, right here, ya, that 1-1 tone, because that is the penultimate, you could opt for 2-3, which would be tanad squatula iyana. And I've heard that a lot, and it's only because that is the Iroquoian penultimate syllable stress. So it's still going to be taken to mean the command form, though, simply because of the phonemic layout, the way it is, the way the word sounds altogether. Again, that's just speaker choice. Going along, conditional suffix. Used to say the action is taking place as the subject is going along. The action is taking place throughout the subject's journey. 2, it is affixed directly to the last syllable of the root itself. Astautega. He or she's following it. Astautegoi. He or she follows it. Ustautasai. He or she followed it. Histautuga. Follow it. And ustautasti. For him or her to follow it. About to or just before. Used to say the action is about to happen or just before it happens. Is affixed to the completive stem of the root word. Ahyaketska. He or she's peeling it. Ahyaketskoi. He or she peels it. Uhyaketsai. He or she peeled it. Hyaketsa. Peel it. Uhyaketsti. For him or her to peel it. Note, this root ends in a vowel, and this is why the E of the conditional suffix is dropped and the A of the root is used instead. This is the same process for any root that ends in a vowel. Reduplicating the action until it is complete. This suffix is used for expressions that are routinely known to take undetermined lengths of time to complete. So shopping, baking, fishing, etc. And it is affixed to the completive stem of the root word. Adanane sahaska. Shopping. Adanane sahaskoi. He or she shops. Udanane sanai. He or she shopped. Hadanane sahaga. Shop. And udanane sahasti. For him or her to shop. For another or on behalf of another. This suffix indicates that the action is being performed for or on behalf of someone or something else. Is affixed to the completive stem of the root word. Ganoneha. He or she is giving someone something flexible. Ganonehoi. He or she gives another something flexible. Unanelai. He or she gave another something flexible. Hinosi. Give her or him something flexible. And unoneti. For her or him to give another something flexible. Caused to or made to conditional suffix. This suffix is used to say the subject is being caused or made to perform the action. Is affixed to the completive stem of the root word. This can sometimes be confused with the accidental, but the difference is how it connects. So with the accidental, it connects to the infinitive stem minus its suffix, and the caused to or made to connects to the completive stem. Alewistiha. He or she is causing it to stop. Alewistiskoi. He or she causes it to stop. Ulewistanai. He or she caused it to stop. Halewista. Cause it to stop as a command. And ulewistoti. For him or her to cause it to stop. Being made to perform its duty, conditional suffix. Used to convey that the root word itself is being made to perform the action or duty that it normally would perform. So, for example, an ear hears. So if it was being made to perform its duty, it would be being made to hear. And it is affixed to the completive stem of the root word or to incorporated noun stems. Atlia sanausti, huh? He or she is snorting. Atlia sanausti is going. He or she snorts. Utlia sanaustanai. He or she snorted. Hatlia sanausta. Snort. And utlia sanaustotti. For him or her to snort. Performing its duty. Used to convey that the root word itself is performing the action or duty that it normally would perform. So for an example, an ear hears, so if it is performing its duty, it would be hearing. Is affixed to the completive stem of the root word or to an incorporated noun stem. Daktanauska, he or she is blinking. Daktanauskoi, he or she blinks. Duktanausai, he or she blinked. Taktanawa, blink, and duktanausti, for him or her to blink. In the process of, used to say that the action is in the process of being performed, connects to the completive stem of the root word or to the last syllable of an incorporated noun stem. Agaliha, it is shining. Agaliskoi, it shines. Ugasai, it shined. Hagalana, shine. Hagalana, shine. Or ugalti, for it to shine. In the previous verb, a 3-3 tone is found on the syllable directly before the conditional suffix. This is the cause of so many 3-3 tone segments in a row. If this same syllable was 2-2, the speaker could opt to contract the 3-3 tone and allow it to spread evenly across the two syllables. Keep in mind, the choice to contract the tone is at the speaker's discretion. This type of contraction with 3 tone is not a rule or grammar. It is identical to the idea of a word contraction in English. Example, are not becomes aren't. That's all that is happening. Below is another example of where the 3-3 tone has contracted after adding the in-process conditional suffix. I will also illustrate what the decontracted form is. However, keep in mind, both forms are correct, and you are free to choose which one you would like to use, or you can use both. So, contracted form versus decontracted. Go hui li an, he's writing, or go hui li an. Go hui li sko in, he writes. Go hui li sko in, he writes. U wo hui lan na in, he wrote. U wo hui lan na in, he wrote. We go hui leng gan, let him or her write. We go hui leng gan, let him or her write. This one, there is no contraction simply because it is, it could be contracted, but most people let it stay 1-1 because this is the immediate stem, and it does always give the telltale sign of what your 3-3 syllable is, in fact. For him or her to write, u wo hui lo di, or u wo hui lo di. Either one.